season. Lots to come on that. But with the Blue Jays coming up first, to look at the lineup, they're facing a hard-throwing lefty in Mackenzie Gore. Justin Turner has just wrecked left-handers this year, 10 for 21, 7 extra base hits, 8 righties. Dalton Varsho, the lone lefty, down to the 6th spot. So Bo Bichette, who hit 5 last night, hitting cleanup today, and get it started early against this guy.
One of the best fastballs in the game, best from the left side among starting pitchers in the major leagues, averaging over 96 miles per hour with that heater. He was acquired in the Juan Soto deal with the Padres. C.J. Abrams also came over to Washington in that deal of August of 2022. In last start at Texas, he took his 3rd loss of the season, went 5 innings, allowing just 2 runs. He struck out 7, but he was pitching opposite John Gray that day, who was just a bit better. He'll be in the zone a lot, but get it going. That's a good fastball at the top of the zone. Defensively for the Nats, behind Gore will be Jesse Winker in left, Jacob Young in center, Eddie Rosario back in right again for the Nats this afternoon. Trey Lipscomb moves over the diamond to the 3rd base side. Abrams at short. Garcia and Meneses on the right side, and Keibert Ruiz behind the plate again for Washington.
Yeah, 3 days in a row, Ruiz doing the catching here in this series. The Blue Jays victorious 6-3 last night after the Nationals won 9-3 on Friday night. It's off to Philadelphia for the Blue Jays after this game. George Springer is going to lead it off again. Springer went 1 for 5 in last night's game and reached twice on errors. The Nationals were very generous to the Blue Jays last night. 4 errors and led to 4 unearned runs in the first. And there's the fastball at 96, and that's about where he will sit. He's Yusei Kikuchi velocity plus a little bit extra on that fastball.
Just ahead of Tarek Skubal with the Detroit Tigers, averaging 96.2, but he is averaging 96.7 with that heater, and he'll also throw it glove side. That's where the target is for Ruiz right now.
Big cut by Springer, and he fouls it back 1-2. Top draft pick by the Padres, heavily hyped guy coming up through the minors, part of the Juan Soto deal. And if all goes well, a fixture in their rotation here in Washington for many years to come. And now we got a door open out in left field adjacent to the Blue Jays bullpen, and that's now being closed. The Blue Jays in the baby blues here on this Sunday afternoon. A changeup and taken up and away 2-2.
That was the changeup that I spoke of way earlier in the open, Dan, with that fastball. It's a great complementary pitch. He used it a lot against righties in that last start against the Rangers.
Uses it again, and he gets Springer looking.
It's tough as a hitter when you have to gear up for mid to upper 90s, and then he pulls the string on you a little bit. And from the left side, as a right-handed hitter, you give up on that pitch when it seems to be outside, comes back and catches the corner.
So 1 down, and here's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Vladdy was in the 3 spot last night with Dalton Varsho hitting 2nd, but again a lefty on the mound. Varsho lower in the lineup. Guerrero back up to the 2 hole. Guerrero went 1 for 5 last night, had a base hit. And lines one into right. Good contact there. An opposite field single with 1 out here in the top of the 1st.
Well, you try to gear it up for the 97. Vladdy a little bit late here, but he will take it, barrels it up, and shoots it the other way. Finds a hole on the right side.
So a base runner with a 1 out of the 1st inning, and here's Justin Turner. As we mentioned, great numbers in limited at bats against lefties this year. The Blue Jays have not seen that many left-handed starters on the season. So Turner hitting 3rd, Bichette hitting in the 4 spot today. You and I had a chance to talk briefly with Justin Turner, Kevin Kiermaier a little bit earlier today on the way over to the ballpark, and they were among the many players we think who watched the hockey game last night. And You know, now that they are Blue Jays, they've got a little bit of an emotional investment in the Maple Leafs, and everybody was given their 2 cents on the game and the winning goal by Pasternak in overtime.
A lot of hockey analysts.
Yeah, yeah.
Justin knows his hockey.
Yeah,
now.
he does. Yeah.
Commenting on the designed play by the Bruins to win that game.
Yeah.
Shoot in off the end boards, the corner boards.
It's always fun hearing athletes talk about other sports and their take on it.
Have to hear some hockey players analyze baseball.
Yeah. They get the summers off. I bet you the guys who live around, they watch a lot of games. They're fans of the Blue Jays. There's a connection between the two teams. Short lead at first by Guerrero. And the 2-2 fouled back by Turner.
That's what you have to do against good hitters, is mix it up. Started with a couple of those fastballs up over 95. Came back with a changeup and the breaking ball. He's got the 4-pitch mix. Curveball, slider, and changeup are his secondary pitches.
Another bouncer foul. Good long at bat here as Turner's giving his teammates a lot of information about Mackenzie Gore.
Well, they've seen all 4 pitches now. Curveball, slider, and changeup to go along with the fastball at the top of the zone. And I don't doubt after that breaker down, you come back with the fastball. Get his sights down and in and elevate again. Slower.
A slow breaking ball in there for strike 3 call. So now Bo Bichette, who for the first time in his big league career was ejected yesterday, didn't like this called third strike, slammed his helmet down, and it was tossed out of the game by home plate umpire Jonathan Apara. It looked like Bo maybe said something very brief, but he didn't turn to the umpire, he didn't direct it at the umpire. As he swings at the first pitch, ground ball to second, they'll force Guerrero, and that will be that. So the Blue Jays get a base hit, leave a man on, and getting ready to head to the mound. Alek Manoah for the first time as a Blue Jay here this season. Here at Nationals Park, and a look at the Washington lineup here today, including C.J. Abrams. He's down at the 2 spot today. The speedster Jacob Young is up top. Abrams is a problem. He's gotten 3 hits in the series, but it really hasn't hurt the Blue Jays too much. Others have. Luis Garcia Jr. has done some damage. This is the lineup Alek Manoah will face here this afternoon.
Different looking Alek Manoah physically and with a new and improved delivery, making his debut after 5 games in the minor leagues. He had a handful of starts to get going, 6 innings last time out, but we will see a different look.
You see the overall numbers in the 5 rehab starts, not good, but again, the last one was a huge step forward. 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts, 92 pitches, 62 of them for strikes. Young, the center fielder, not a power guy, but he's a contact guy, a speed guy. It's one on the ground to short, and a high throw, and safe at first is Young on what will likely be scored as an error charged on Bo Bichette.
Well, not what you want behind you defensively. Alek could use that first quick out, but Bo comes up and the ball takes off on him. See that underarm sort of sidearm throw, and it really took off.
And it is an error, so now you got a guy on base who can really run too. And the Nationals have been very aggressive stealing bases this year. And you got to imagine that they might think that that can be a real weapon for them to distract Manoah a little bit between the plate and what's going on the base paths. C.J. Abrams hitting .287, 7 homers. Young not going, and swung on and missed. 95 on the fastball. It's 0-2. And here's what we're talking about. The Nationals are number 2 in the majors with 56 stolen bases. Young can fly. Abrams can fly. Lane Thomas, who has a dozen steals, is on the IL, but they've got a bunch of guys still who can run.
They've been caught a lot too, Dan, but Jacob Young is not one of the Attempted base stealers, been caught just once this season. We know Alek Manoah, opposing base stealers, have done that to him in the past, taking advantage of his longer delivery to the plate.
Young not going. And look at that awkward swing on a slider down and in as Manoah rings up Abrams.
Well, there's a good look at that slider. We talked about it, and Arden outlaid it pretty good earlier about the more downward tilt that we're seeing from that pitch. Now, that one looked like it was breaking down and in. Either way, it absolutely froze Abrams.
So the first out of the season here in the big leagues for Manoah comes via the strikeout, and here's Luis Garcia. This may be an unanswerable question, as that scattered everybody, but it looks like everybody's all right in the dugout. But what are you expecting from Alek Manoah here today?
I'm expecting 5+ innings and being in command of the zone. The biggest thing is what we're seeing already, pounding the zone. Nice clean delivery, looks really clean right now so far. And that first slider that we saw, I think that's the key too. And when I referred to that breaking ball with more downward break, if it's more, it almost got curveball action at times, that can be very effective against left-handed hitters as well as right-handers. We know his sweeping slider was always dominant against righties.
A great rookie season in 2021, a Cy Young finalist in 2022, and then a rough 2023. Was demoted to the minors twice, had an ERA close to 6. Had some extra testing done in Toronto after the second demotion, didn't report right away, and actually never wound up pitching for Buffalo. Eventually was put on the inactive list. So this is his first start in the major league since August the 10th of last year. And you know, no matter how successful you've been, and there've got to be some butterflies for him right now.
For sure. I think basically where he's coming from, and I think too, if you're Alek, you want to kind of follow suit with this rotation. These guys have been so good, so you come back in here, you want to, you feel like you have to keep up.
Young leaning, edging out that lead inch by inch, not going, and a ground ball base hit into right field for Garcia, and Young's going to come around to third.
Manoah did a nice job holding on to this ball a long time, trying to control that running game. But you see this breaking ball stayed out over the plate a little bit, still down, but in the middle area, and Garcia is able to roll it into right field.
So first and third with a 1 out. Remember, it was the error that got this started to put a Young on base. He comes around to third on the single. And now here's the DH, the right-hand hitting Nick Senzel, as a new batch of baseball is being brought out to the home plate umpire John Lipka. You know, another thing in terms of the way that this has developed with Manoah being here, if you go back, say, a month, Mitch White is in the organization, Wes Parsons is in the organization, Ricky Tiedemann is healthy, Yariel Rodriguez is healthy, Bowden Francis is healthy. That's 5 guys who are either on the IL or in another organization right now. The depth the Blue Jays appeared to have built up is gone right now. Paulo Espino's another guy to mention. He came up, had an outing, but the numbers haven't been good for him since he went back to Buffalo. So on a number of levels, it's a big deal if Manoah can work this out here and stay at the big league level.
With the rotation so good and so deep, if he can add to that mix, we know that the bullpen is going to be challenged at times.
2-0 slider, hooked foul down the line, 2-1.
Alek not necessarily a big ground ball pitcher, but could he use one right now? First pitch he ran in on the hands of Senzel. Maybe again. He tried.
And that's something you'll see from Alek every now and again. Just not coming out of the delivery, but maybe landing a little awkwardly, spinning a little bit in the follow through.
Might buy himself a couple of extra seconds too between pitches before getting that ball back from the catcher.
3-1 the count on Senzel. Good movement on that two-seamer down to the zone. It's full.
That's a great pitch right there. It doesn't have to be It was good velocity. Doesn't even have to be, but you see the movement. We see that ball sinking. When I can see that on a TV monitor, Dan, in person, there's a lot of movement there.
At 95, 96, that's really, he's been successful at 93, 94. It's more about locating than that extra tick or two for Manoah.
Alejandro Kirk sneaking out front just to give those signs to his infielders again with the 3-2 count in the event that the runner does go. Is it a strike him out, throw him out, or will they eat it?
And Garcia is running. It's strike 3 called. They throw through, throw back to third. And diving back safely there is Young. Garcia steals second. And Kirk elected to throw through as Manoah struck out Senzel.
Well, he put the new sign on. Whether they changed whatever sign was on or not, we don't know. But keep your eyes on Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. He's going to the bag to get the guy, but watch him come because the runner on third breaks a little bit. The idea there is we'll take the strikeout, of course, but we don't want that run to score. So good read by Kiner-Falefa.
So it's second and third, 2 down, and here's Jesse Winker, the left fielder. And a slider missing up and away. And Manoah, you could see just going through the follow through, the motion again, probably telling himself, got to snap that one off. Didn't have a lot of bite on it. Two and 0. And ball 3, a pitch away from loading the bases. Again, they haven't hit him hard. Young reached on an error by Bo Bichette, and then Garcia's base hit was a ground ball through the right side. A couple of strikeouts as well, but still 2 in scoring position. And just low. Ball 4, and that will load him up.
Not the worst thing that can happen to Alec right there with the lefty Winker taking the free pass. He'll take his shot now with the righty Joey Meneses.
Nobody hoping Manoah can do well more than those two guys. Meneses hitting .221 without a home run on the season. And that's very high for ball 1. 13 home runs, 89 RBIs a year ago for Meneses.
Alec's a big guy, a lot of moving parts, and we thought he was very in control there early in this inning, and his last hitter or two coming out of that delivery.
1-1, and again you can see the movement on the two-seamer.
Now oftentimes when you come out of your delivery, as we've seen, you don't mind mixing in a slider here. Try to get that release point back out front, and then it could help him for a sinker as well.
Slider outside, ball 2.
And I'll take that miss, Dan. That's okay. It's a sacrifice you make. That to me is a much better delivery. Now he has to hone that delivery into the next pitch, and of course it has to be around the zone now. I go with the sinker, and you trust the movement on the pitch.
Ball 3. At times in his rehab starts, control was a problem. And one of his starts, he walked the first 4 batters in that outing. Then he didn't walk anybody after that. Again, in his last one, he only walked 2 in 6 innings, and he struck out 12. But can he carry that over here into his first big league start this season? And ball 4 to bring in the first run of the ball game. And he's going to get a visit. Kiner-Falefa, Guerrero, and Kirk are all at the mound. And here comes Clement Bichette as well.
Well, not ideal. I didn't mind the free pass to Winker at all if he could get right back into that delivery, but still fighting the zone against the righty. And this will be a good chance to really try to catch your breath and limit the damage here. These are the innings right here that can really get away from you. Lock in right here, focus in on this left-handed batter, and keep it just at 1.
Ruiz hitting just a .145 on the season with a couple of home runs. They're playing him to pull on the infield. So a big lead at third by Garcia. He's way down the line. And that's outside for ball 1. More balls than strikes thrown by Manoah. Didn't start that way, but he's walked the last 2 hitters. And a slider in there, 1-1. Lofty pitch count here in the first for Manoah as well, on a day when the bullpen might be thin. One and two.
It's almost as though when he throws this slider, he's back into his delivery, but now he has to be able to repeat that delivery when he goes with the fastball.
He has not thrown a changeup yet today. He'll sprinkle in a changeup every now and again to a left-handed batter. So again, Garcia, and he's pretty close to the bag now, but he's going to stretch that lead out a good 15 or 20 feet because Ernie Clement is way over towards the shortstop spot. They are playing Garcia to pull. And Manoah's going to step off and bluff a throw to nobody. There's nobody near, but that's maybe Alec just maybe wanted to regroup a little bit.
It's what you concede when you're going to play the hitter. You're playing the left-handed hitter to pull. A third baseman, you have to concede the bag while the runner's going to take that 30 to 40 feet. A lot of pressure on the catcher.
And a swing and a miss as the bat goes flying and the inning comes to an end. A couple of walks and an unearned run. It's 1-0 Nationals at the end of 1. '96 and in there for a called strike. It'll be Schneider, Varsho, and Kirk here in the second. So for Gore last year against the Jays, 5 innings, 1 run. The Schneider home run, the 1 run of the game. Fastball up and away.
I think sometimes too, Dan, we get so caught up in, and David Schneider admittedly says, yeah, the elevated fastball gives me issues, but not every pitch is there. Pitchers do make mistakes. Sometimes they try to go up there and they leave it middle. Sometimes they hang a breaking ball.
Sometimes they paint with a curveball in the outside corner.
That is a tough one. Lefty against a right-handed hitter. It's never a strike as a hitter. It's out there the whole time in that left-handed batter's box.
Change up, lined into left field. A good piece of 2-strike hitting there by Davis Schneider.
This is what he does. He continues to show us that he can adapt in the middle of an at-bat. Good, soft, off-speed pitch down and away. You have to stay on that pitch. You have to stay through that baseball long enough toward the end of the bat, but enough to get it out into left field.
Like if you're Mackenzie Gore, you executed your pitch there.
100%.
That's a good pitch.
Great piece of hitting.
So a leadoff base hit for Schneider. Here's Dalton Varsho hitting in the 6th spot today. Went 2 for 4 with a walk in last night's game. And Varsho has handled himself pretty well against left-handed pitching so far this year. He's 6 for 20. Obviously a .300 average. He's got a homer and a couple of doubles. And no bunt hits against lefties. Last year we would talk about his numbers against lefties, and the average would be boosted a little bit by bunt singles, but he has not had any of those yet this year. A ground ball out to second. There's one, and not in time at first. Very close. But Varsho will reach on the fielder's choice.
I was just about to say, you know why you don't bunt a whole lot? Because you're swinging the bat well, and Dalton almost found a hole on the right side. Very nice play by Garcia to get that ball, and good turn by Abrams. I thought it was a very quick turn, but the speed of Varsho just beats it out.
So 1 on, 1 out, and now Alejandro Kirk getting his first at bat of the day. Kirk at 194. And one of the reasons Kirk is in there is that Alek Manoah's on the mound, and they were pretty much a steady combo over the last couple of years through both good and bad for Manoah. Danny Jansen starting the first 2 games and just swinging the bat great right now, and it feels like maybe that's kind of the way the playing time is going to be. As there goes Varsho, and the throw is high and into center field, and Varsho will pop back up and take third. Stolen base number 4 on the season for Dalton Varsho.
Well, Dalton got a great jump off Gore, the left-hander. You see him take off, but watch Alejandro Kirk. He's taking all the way, and that's a good job by a hitter. You can see in your peripheral vision as a hitter that Varsho got a great jump, so make sure you don't swing. He didn't, and now Varsho's on third.
And the Nationals bringing the infield in here early in this game with a 1 out on the top of the second. 2-0 on Kirk. The last game that Kirk started was the win over the Dodgers back on Sunday, and he went 3 for 3 with a homer. Had by far his best offensive game of the season. We'll see if there's any carryover today. But as we were saying, right now the way that Danny Jansen's swinging it, it kind of feels like Danny will get maybe 2 out of every 3.
Yeah, and I think the Blue Jays are understanding that Alejandro's numbers improve too when he's rested on occasion, not playing too much. Unfortunately, he had to play a lot at the beginning of the season with Danny on the injured list. But you pick your spots and get the best out of both of them.
And a strike to Kirk, 3-1.
We know Alejandro catches Jose Barrios most of the time as well, but if Danny keeps doing what he's doing with the bat, it's going to be hard to keep him out of the lineup. Of course, Alejandro will get spots. Maybe it's a Manoah start, maybe it's a Barrios start, but it's hard to keep that bat out of the lineup, and the threat that Danny brings with the power.
And that's ball 4. So the Blue Jays have runners on the corners with 1 out. And a great opportunity here to break the ice against Gore. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is going to be the batter.
They've got a good contact hitter at the plate. And I think this is what the Blue Jays liked about Kiner-Falefa when they acquired him and signed him.
So the middle infielders have backed up to double play depth. Pretty good hole on the right side for IKF. And a foul back, 0-1. Well, kind of easy 97 from Mackenzie Gore.
I think Isaiah handles that ball out over the plate a little bit better too. We'll see if Gore doesn't try to come in with that high velocity fastball. Trying to jam him, not allow him to extend his arms and get something up in the air to the outfield.
And it's booted by Gore, and he never finds it. And everybody's safe, and a run comes in to score.
Well, that's what contact does. You just never know. You put a ball in play and force the defense to work, and in this case, it's the pitcher himself. Gore looked like he had it initially, and he thought he had it. Looked like he was going to come home. Dalton Varsho going on contact. Watch Varsho from third. He's gone, and that's the gamble you take. But Gore can't come up with it.
It looked like he picked up his head just a millisecond early there, looking to see if Varsho was running on the play. And the Blue Jays catch another break on another defensive miscue by the Nationals. An error is charged to Gore, and Kiner-Falefa is being credited with an RBI, at least right now. So the official scorer is saying that in his or her judgment that had Gore come up with the ball, maybe he goes to second. He gets a runner there. So at least at the moment, give Kiner-Falefa an RBI. Either way, this game is tied at 1. And here comes Ernie Clement. And Ernie Clement likes 2 things. Well, he likes a lot of things.
First pitches?
Imagine, but yeah, well, the 2 I'm thinking of are facing a lefty and hitting a fastball. So Ernie,
here you go.
Yeah, go get him.
Well, he's just got to get one in the zone from Gore.
Got a breaking ball, got a curve. Oh, and John Lipka said,
not sure why home plate umpires take that upon themselves. It's no harm done to just point down and ask for some help. They have a much better look down the line.
Blocked by Ruiz. 2 balls and a strike. You could see Ernie's reaction when it was deemed a called strike. And again, it actually might have a swinging strike, I should say. And it might have actually been in the strike zone. But if the umpire decides you went around, then he's not worried about whether it was in or out of the strike zone.
And you can't appeal as a hitter.
No.
Point down there and say, no, I didn't. What do you think?
This one to right field, and it's down for a base hit. Boy, and some interesting base running on that play. Kirk just took off, assuming the ball would get down. Kiner Falefa played it halfway between first and second. He just got to second in time. And it's a base hit by Clement to load the bases.
Well, it's actually a pretty good read by Kiner Falefa because this ball had a chance maybe to be caught. It looked from here as though that it was going to land, but he was just making sure. And then Kiner Falefa knew he had to motor into second base to beat that throw.
So Kirk either had a great read on that ball or thought there were 2 outs.
That's true. You're
one of those
kind.
2. I don't know.
That's quite a gamble if not.
It all worked out okay. But that was eventful. Springer takes a strike.
And more importantly, Ernie got the fastball he was looking for.
Springer called out on strikes his first time up. The Blue Jays have tied it. The bases are loaded with just 1 out. Fouled off somebody's foot. Maybe Ruiz's foot? Hit something.
Shin guard, maybe?
Or shin guard, yeah. Yeah, definitely got Ruiz, not Springer. So Kirk at third, Kiner Falefa at second, Clement at first. And it's 0-2 on Springer. Takes the breaking ball low.
See the reaction from George there. He bent down to his knees there and he's pounding his right hip. That's his back hip, and I think he's reminding himself to stay loaded in that thing. Don't jump out there. Don't drift forward too soon. He was able to hold up and not swing, but wants to be a little more controlled on that move.
2-2.
Hitters will talk to themselves. They'll think a lot between pitches. They have some individual cues that they will use.
And up and away, a full count. Now Springer has worked it from 0-2 back to 3-2 with the bases loaded. Guerrero on deck. Boy, these are the situations. You've gotten the 1, but if you're going to start winning more games than you've been winning, almost imperative that they take advantage of these kinds of situations better than they have. Out of play.
Call those crooked numbers. Start putting up crooked numbers. 2s and 3s and 4s, especially when you have a pitcher on the ropes early like this, the way they've got Gore.
Who's about to throw his 40th pitch already. Alek Manoah's had a long time to cool off in the dugout, hoping his team can give him the lead. Swing and a miss at 98 as Gore gets Springer for the second time.
Well, after several off-speed pitches, went right back to the heater, and that's 98 off the plate away, and I'm not sure you're hitting that even if you know it's coming. Just tough to get to that outside the zone.
So if you're Vladdy here, bases loaded, 2 outs, are you gearing up for a first pitch fastball and just selling out?
I'm not selling out, but you have to stay on the fastball. I don't think you can go up there looking for his changeup. Be on time for the fastball and adjust accordingly. Easier said than done because it's 96, 97. Yeah. But you don't want to be looking spin, looking soft, and then take a fastball right down the middle.
Another fastball in, 2-0.
And that to me is a take that he was looking for that pitch because he was on it, saw it really well, knew it was coming in and took it.
And now what we've seen sometimes from Vladdy, count in his favor a swing here on a borderline pitch, right? Which is
think middle.
Yeah.
Think middle, think even right center field.
That's middle, takes it at 98, 2-1.
And it's okay that you don't jump on it. Maybe he didn't see it real well out of his hands. Maybe he thought it was away a little bit more than the end result we saw in the middle of the zone.
And it is gone. He demolished it to left field. Got the count in his favor, got one he liked, and hit it way out of here for a grand slam.
Be on time for the fastball, adjust to the off speed. And you know what happens when you get a changeup at 87 right over the middle, Dan? You're just a little bit out front. And Vladdy pulls this ball into the seats in left field. Well done.
Boy, how good does that have to feel for him? He has not homered since April the 10th. That was 21 games ago. And what a time to do it, as the Blue Jays now lead 5-1, his 5th career grand slam.
I can't wait to ask him if he was sitting changeup or he just adjusted, because he did take the one fastball down the middle. But he was all over this pitch like he knew it was coming.
It's been a while. He's been waiting. They've been waiting. 109 miles an hour off the bat, 416 feet to left field for a huge hit for the Blue Jays.
This lineup looks a little different when he's doing those things. That has to feel very good for Vladdy. Very controlled with his swing, too. He knew it right off the bat.
And again, to do it with 2 outs, to come up with that huge hit at the huge moment. And if you're Dave Martinez on the other side, you're looking up there and you're seeing the number 2 under the errors column, and you're saying, again? And Alek Manoah is now got a lead to work with. Up and away, and a full count on Turner. Look at the pitch count for Gore, now up to 50 through an inning and 2/3. And he fights it off.
Saw him do that yesterday, a little emergency hack, but he stays alive.
They're going to have to recharge those iPads. Everybody's going to want to watch that over and over again. Another foul off.
Turner can do this with the best of them. You talk about spiking a pitch count. This has been an issue for Mackenzie Gore. He can have that one inning where he just throws way more than he wants to, and it shortens his outings.
You know, you retrace the inning, and a lot of stuff happened here this inning. But Davis Schneider and Ernie Clement both coming up with base hits. Both guys who have hit lefties well, and both guys who continue to produce when they're in the lineup. Setting the table for Guerrero. And a walk to Turner. And the inning continues. So the 9th Blue Jay to come to the plate is Bo Bichette. Kind of amazed there hasn't Jim Hickey hasn't gone to the mound, or none of the infielders have come in. It looks like the bullpen's getting up, but nobody's gone out to have a chat with Gore yet, as Bichette fouls it off out of play.
Bo staying aggressive early in the count. An important thing when you're aggressive early in the count is that you're in your zone. You're looking middle in, make sure it's where you want it.
Jacob Barnes up in the Washington pen. Briefly a Blue Jay back a few years ago. Blue Jays saw him on Friday night in the first game of the series. On the appeal, no swing, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You know what Bo does very well with 2 strikes is he can shoot the ball the other way, and with a runner on first there's a wide open right side. Hitters will do that 2-strike approach you hear so often, is really thinking that ball getting deep, seeing the breaking ball a little deeper.
Just foul up the third baseline. Feels like we've seen Bo turn, and he always hits, the ball to the opposite field about as much as anybody in baseball. But it feels like we've seen fewer of those balls that he's really turning on this year.
Trying to catch that ball out front a little more, and you see it maybe more earlier in the count. That time is a breaking ball bearing in on him.
Ground ball to short. Abrams comes and gets it. It makes a good play to get him and retire the side. Alek Manoah heading back out with a 5-1 lead thanks to his good buddy Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who launched one to left for a grand slam. And then a shoulder issue in the spring this year, setting him back. Injury rehab, made 5 starts in the minors, and now this is his first big league outing of the year.
And this will be a good test for him right here, Dan. A long inning hitting for the Blue Jays. He's been sitting in there for a while. Started out fine, I thought, in the first inning all around the zone, but then really started to have problems those last few hitters with a couple of walks. This is where he's got to get right back to it here and be in sync with that delivery.
Eddie Rosario is going to lead it off for the Nationals, and he'll take a fastball down and in for ball 1. Rosario at just 0.96 on the season. He went 1 for 3 with an infield hit in last night's game. Raised his average 10 points by having a 1 for 3. He takes one that might have been low, but is called to strike 1-1. When you're hitting 0.96, that's the last thing you want. In there, 1-2.
Good little backdoor breaker there to a left-handed hitter. Now, if you're going to try to punch him out, it's probably going to be that wipeout down and in.
Missed down and in. 2-2 with a 2-seam fastball.
Good try, good idea. I think he wants that elevated. Get that about belt high, inside off the plate. Try it again.
High slider, bounce back towards the mound. The underhand toss for the easy play in the first out.
Pitchers are always striving to, repeat their delivery, and it's very difficult to repeat your delivery every time, but you want to be as close as possible because that's going to help you get to that desired release point regardless of the pitch that you're throwing. Alek's done a lot of work in that department, and that's where things went sideways for him last year. The delivery was out of whack, out of sync, and that affects your stuff big time.
Number 9 hitter for the Nationals is their third baseman today, Trey Lipscomb, hitting .253 on the season. This is Lipscomb's natural position at third. He was at first base in last night's game, and the Nationals had some guys playing less familiar positions, and they threw the ball around. Third base is his best spot. As that 2-seamer from Manoah catches the inside corner, it's 1-1.
Nothing wrong with 94 in the inside corner to a righty. Going back away.
Slider in a different spot than he wanted it, but he's still got a swing and a miss.
And that's just not finishing, right? That's not quite getting out there in your delivery where he wants to. That's the inconsistency that I think he's fighting here early. Much better. Good adjustment, good call by Kirk to go back to that pitch. Make it a better one, and he did.
The 2-2. And he got him. Two-seamer on the outside corner, but it froze him, and that's already 4 strikeouts for Manoah.
Doesn't get much better than that as a right-handed pitcher. If you can pound that outside corner, first and foremost, your delivery has to be in sync and correct, and he was mechanically sound on that pitch, hitting the outside corner.
So 5 outs for Manoah, 4 by strikeout, and here's the leadoff man, Jacob Young, who reached on an error and scored the Nationals' run in the bottom of the first.
Found his little slot there.
Much better command of the zone than he had at times in the first inning. And a bunt, pop back foul into the screen. It's 0-2. As you can see from that graphic there, he's pesky with a couple of strikes on him. Average major league hitter, or all major league hitters combined, hitting under 200. When behind in the count, he's over 300.
That's where you want your 0-2. Try to get the chase. If you don't, it opens everything up. He can come back to that pitch right now, or he can run that fastball in, or he can use that fastball we saw outside. So the options are endless. I try to spin it out there again.
Jammed him with a fastball, still 1-2. And he got him. Another well-located two-seam fastball. And that is 5 strikeouts through 2 innings for Alek Manoah.
Reporter last night, Hale told me that Bichette wasn't rattled by the news at all. Hale said Bichette understood from a team perspective it was meant to create some momentum, a different look from when different situations might come up. I wasn't rattled because I had no argument against it, Bichette told me. At the time, I had nothing to say in defense of why I shouldn't be moved. Hale and Bichette both see signs this rough patch could be coming to an end. Bichette pointed to his last 4 games where he had 8 hard-hit balls, not ground balls, more line drives. Hitting the ball, Bichette told me, at least gives him a chance. Guys?
Hazel, thank you. Bichette hitting 4th today with a Varsho further down against the lefty, and Davis Schneider leading off the 3rd, and he sends one way up in the air behind the plate, but it's going to be back out of play. And whether it's Bo or anybody else in that dugout, listen, this team is 29th out of 30 in runs scored, and everybody's got to do whatever they can and whatever is asked of them to try to improve those numbers.
Shake things up, do anything, and sometimes you just go into the ballpark and hitting in a different spot. Maybe you're not necessarily hitting in the first inning, or maybe you are when you're not accustomed to it. And I'm sure they'll keep tinkering if the offense doesn't get going, but Vladdy has got them up 5-1 here already early this afternoon.
Line drive left field, and that's down and will get to the wall in a heartbeat. And Schneider is on his way to second with a double, and he's already 2 for 2.
Falls behind with a couple of fastballs, and Gord tries to switch it up a little bit. Down and in. instead of elevating, but he's ready for it. And that's when I talk about hitters trying to be on time for the fastball and adjust accordingly. Good short swing that time by Schneider.
So a leadoff double here in the third. Guerrero's grand slam has provided the 4-run lead, and now the Blue Jays looking for more. Varsho shows bunt, but it's popped up and caught in foul territory by the first baseman of Meneses for the first out.
A good idea by Dalton. I know he likes to do that. You've got the room to do it. He knows if he gets it down to the right side, the first baseman and the pitcher are going to have to fight over it. In the meantime, he can beat that out, but he pops it up in the air.
So one down. Here's Alejandro Kirk. Kirk reached on a walk his first time up and came to score on the Guerrero grand slam. Line drive right field and right at Rosario, who makes the catch for the second out. So now Isaiah Kiner-Falefa involved in another one of the key plays in the top of the second. The ground ball back to the mound, and Mackenzie Gore looked like maybe he took his eye off it just for a moment and never found the ball again, never picked it up cleanly. Kiner-Falefa reached, one of 2 errors in the inning committed by the Nationals. The other one was a throwing error by the catcher Ruiz, but it was the one by Gore that was ultimately much more damaging. So how about 4 unearned runs last night and 4 unearned runs already here today?
Nats pitchers are saying, come on guys, help me out.
Yep. And we were talking to Alex Avila after the game yesterday and saying, hey, what kind of a defensive team is this team? Because they'd only committed 10 errors all season before yesterday, 4 yesterday. So they're, they don't commit many errors, but things like defensive runs saved, outs above average, they're down near the bottom. So they're a team, they're not very rangy, but if they can get to it, generally they catch it. That's why they haven't committed few errors, but some of the more advanced metrics aren't that favorable towards them. But I mean, they were just throwing the ball around last night.
And time can do that too. As you get more into a season, the numbers kind of fall to where they should be. And right now the Nats are showing they're not a very good defense. We talked last night about the Twins, and you talked about how hot they are and all this. Well, teams can get hot and cold, but once we get through, say, the month of May and you're 2 months in, that gives you a little better idea. You've had some cold streaks, you've had some hot streaks, but where you're sitting.
3-1. There goes the runner. It's ball 4. The throw down is not in time. Davis Schneider, with 2 outs in the inning, steals third base.
Well, this is very interesting. Like, what a time to do it. And Schneider must have thought he had a great jump, but I would think it shouldn't be this close, even if you feel that good about it.
That's a gutsy play. He's in there safely and stayed on the bag. It was strike 2 on Kiner-Falefa, so it's a full count on him.
And it's not necessarily the best time if you're going to try to steal third. You tend to want to do it earlier in the at bat anyway, but then you've got a hitter at the plate. And some hitters will tell you that it can be distracting when that runner takes off from second base.
Again, the 3-2. And fights it off. 97 up and in, but he got a piece of it.
If the other team is giving it to you, I say go ahead and take it and steal that base. There are many more ways to score from third than there are second. We've seen the defense of the Nats and talked about it lots. But you better be safe. Schneider just got in there.
And a base hit into right field for Kiner-Falefa. Schneider in to score, and it is 6-1.
Well, he had got sawed off on a couple of fastballs, those pitches that he was fouling off the heaters, and Gore comes back with the breaking pitch. And Isaiah got a little bit off the end of the bat, but a nice piece of hitting to loft that into shallow right field.
So now Ernie Clement comes to the plate. Clement had a base hit and scored his first time up.
Now, speaking of a good time to maybe steal a base with 2 strikes, maybe Kiner Falefa takes off first move. The downside is you could have your number 9 hitter in Clement leading off next inning, but I'll take that with a 6-1 lead right now. Take that chance.
Not going, or maybe he was, and then he put the brakes on and got back when he saw the pickoff throw.
I think Mackenzie Gore is thinking like me. It's a good time for Kiner Falefa to take that gamble. He may have been. And you can gamble again, but Gore can still throw over if they pick him off.
And Kiner Falefa actually was breaking back to the bag a little bit as Gore came to the plate. And you'll see that often, obviously, with a lefty on the mound if you can't pick up the move all that cleanly.
2 pickoff attempts does not mean he can't throw over again.
Right.
You just have to get him. And with the lefty, if he's going first move, you could get him.
There he goes. And a swing and a miss by Clement. And that'll retire the side. But the Kiner Falefa base hit adds a run to the Blue Jay lead.
A run or some runs for him in the second, but what he did too is he was much more in sync with his delivery. Even that one right there, nice and smooth and easy with that first pitch slider to get ahead.
C.J. Abrams leading off the bottom of the 3rd for the Nationals, struck out swinging his first time up, and he is not picking up the slider.
You know what you do when you see 2 pitches like that and 2 reactions, Dan? You throw it again. You throw it again.
Keep it simple, right? He did, and it's hit foul right side.
There's one school of thought to say don't throw 3 and 4 of the same pitches to the same hitter, but the other school of thought is he is not on that pitch at all.
Fastball for strike 3 called, and Abrams not thrilled with that call from John Lipka.
Good idea, good place to miss if you're going to miss in there where you won't get hurt. Nice job by Alejandro Kirk. He does it as good as anyone in the game, pulling that pitch into the zone to get the call.
One down to Luis Garcia Jr., the second baseman, had a base hit his first time up. So as a fellow catcher, talk to me about Kirk. The term is framing, or you can call it any one of a number of different things. And you know, Baseball Savant and other sources have all kinds of numbers talking about catchers who can make balls look like strikes. Why is Kirk so good at it?
Because of his movement with his glove, and we have seen this over the last number of years in baseball where the catchers will, a lot of the one knee catching, but watch how his target is going to go down to the ground, and as it's coming up, he's pulling the ball up to the zone if it's low. If it's to the side, it's almost like a circular movement toward the strike zone. Not going to be able to do much with that pitch, but if it's low, he pulls it up into the zone. If it's to his right, he comes around it and circles it into the zone. If it's to his left, he comes up around it and circles it back into the zone. So everything is being pulled back toward the strike zone in a one smooth move. Glove goes down. Pretty easy when it's right in the middle. Now, the difference these days, and I say in this era of baseball because we're seeing it around the game, compared to many years ago as catchers were in a traditional stance and they just showed the target and received the pitch.
This one high and deep to right center field, and the ballpark's not going to hold it. That's a home run for Garcia. His second of the series. He has done a lot of damage against the Blue Jays, and that'll narrow the gap a little bit. It's now 6-2.
Looked like a slider that stayed up in the zone a little bit on Alec, and Garcia, much like he did to the splitter from Swanson the other night, made no mistake with it, hitting it into the seats in right center. He knows he didn't quite finish the pitch. If you don't quite get out there out front and finish it, stays up, stays flat.
Garcia is now 5 for 7 with 2 home runs in this series. Here's Nick Senzel, who was called out on strikes his first time up. Slider pop foul right side and out of play. It's 1-2. Overall impressions, though, 56 pitches in. What do you think?
So far, so good. We just had that issue in the latter part of that first inning where he really looked like he came out of his delivery, but he locked it into the second. He's been fine this inning as well. This is where you want to battle for that consistency. So you go through that little rough stretch, but now figure it out and take your team through 5 or 6 innings. Try to be as efficient as possible.
Ground ball to the right side, ranging to his left, and making a good play is Kiner Falefa for out number 2.
Just like that, don't give hitters too much credit. Pound that zone and make these hitters beat you. So a baseball leaves the ballpark. It's going to happen. It's a solo shot. You're still up 6-2. Make him put it in play and let that defense work. The Blue Jays, one of the better defenses in all of baseball, and Isaiah Kiner Falefa is part of that reason.
Whether he's at second, short, or third. Here's Jesse Winker, who walked back in the first. This was the first of 2 consecutive walks that Joe was just referring to, where Manoah lost his command of the strike zone for a couple of batters, and the second walk forced in a run. In the zone here, 0-2.
I wanted to say the walk to Winker may have been a little intentional walk so he could just pitch to Meneses, but I don't think it was, Dan. I think that's when he was really starting to come out of that delivery.
Pound in the zone here this inning. It remains 0-2.
Now see the difference with that 0-2 pitch. That's the sinker, trying to get it in just like he did on the strikeout to Abrams, but that one came back over and it got a lot of plate. See where the target is? If you're going to miss this pitch, you want to miss in off the plate like he did to Abrams. That's too good. That's dangerous. Danger zone.
Now bounces in a slider.
Alejandro communicating with his pitcher. Now he's not going to tip his hand all the time, but watch a point right here. Hey, with one slider here, I want you to bounce this out front, try to get the swing. Good block doesn't get the swing. Sometimes they'll do that in decoy.
John Schneider has spoken extensively and repeatedly about Kirk's continued development, both as a leader behind the plate and to change the game plan on the fly based on what he's seeing out on the field.
I think that's the biggest one over the last couple of years, being able to change that game plan. Because we know that each pitcher, you enter the game with a plan of attack for each hitter. And there are times throughout the course of a game, and it may happen here with Alec today, that you may have to divert a little bit. Maybe the sinker's not locating the way you want it to. Maybe the slider doesn't quite have that spin you're looking for.
From 0-2 to 3-2 here on Winker with 2 down in the bottom of the third. And the slider hit him. Got him in the foot on a 3-2 pitch, and Winker's okay. He'll head down to first. Would have been ball 4 anyway, even if it hadn't hit him, but Manoah loses him after jumping out in front of 0-2. Front foot.
Front foot, got him on the toe.
So a base runner with 2 down for Meneses, the first baseman, who walked to force in a run on the first.
Still like Alec in that situation, even with Winker. Just go after him with your sinker again. 6-2 lead. Make these guys beat you.
And again, big picture. Is Manoah ready to step back into a big league rotation? Next level, can the Blue Jays win the game? Next level, bullpen's thin today, we think. They could be down 2 or 3 guys based on usage patterns over the last couple of days. And he's at 66 pitches through 2 2/3.
Tim Mays and Trevor Richards have both pitched back-to-back days. Jordan Romano had to use 25 pitches yesterday to get through that 9th inning.
Brendan Little was the corresponding move. He was optioned to Buffalo to make room for Manoah. So, if you're looking at guys who we think are a sure thing today, Nate Pearson would be available, Yenesis Cabrera, Zach Pop, Eric Swanson. We don't know about Jimmy Garcia, right? With the back issue, he hasn't pitched in either of the last 2 days. So there's some uncertainty about who could come out and what kind of a situation later on in this game.
The good news is that Jimmy Garcia did not go onto the injured list, because while that was one thing we were thinking, he hasn't been available the last couple of days. Could that have been an option, the move for Manoah? So that's a good thing to see Garcia down there.
Garcia, Yenesis Cabrera, Luis Hurtado, one of the bullpen catchers among the many other duties that Hurtado has. And here's another walk. So that's 3 walks and a hit batter now in the first 2 2/3 for Manoah. It looks like Pete Walker's going to let him work it out. Pete's not heading out to the mound. He's going to give Manoah the opportunity just on his own to try to work through it. Manoah had 1 visit from the rest of the infielders earlier.
And this, Dan, is what offense helps with. When you put up 6 runs, it gives your starting pitcher a little wiggle room to try to work through something. If you're down 2-1 right now, you can't have this much patience.
And Kirk might have bought Manoah another strike right there.
And that's a tougher one because Alejandro set up more middle away, and he's got to come back to his right and pull that ball up. The glove is down. Just pulls it up enough to get the call from John Lipka.
Very shallow right center field. It is hanging up a long time, and Springer is going to make the catch as a couple of runners are stranded. 6-2 Blue Jays at the end of 3.
Barnes pitched 10 games for the Blue Jays back in 2021. Veteran reliever joined the Nationals on a minor league contract with an invite to spring training, pitching in his 7th game here. A lot of contact, hasn't walked the batter, just a couple strikeouts in his 6 innings of work.
And it'll be the top of the order for the Blue Jays. Springer, Guerrero, and Turner here in the 4th. Springer struck out in both of his at-bats against Mackenzie Gore.
Mid-90s fastball from Barnes, 4-seamer, the cutter. Everything pretty hard.
And a line drive into right field, a base hit for Springer. Well, if you're just joining us, here is the biggest moment of the game thus far, and really one of the biggest moments Guerrero and the Blue Jays have had in a while offensively.
Big at-bat at a big time. Vladdy with a grand slam off Mackenzie Gore in the 2nd inning to put the Blue Jays up 5-1 and really break this game open after Springer had just struck out.
6-2 now, top of the 4th, after a rain delay as well of 1 hour and 25 minutes at the beginning of the game. Home run number 4 for Vladdy, his first since April the 10th. (2-0). And the second grand slam the Blue Jays have had this year. Dalton Varsho had one against Colorado back on April the 13th. Two and one.
As a hitter, you can sit hard because Barnes is at 95 with a fastball. He's also got a cutter around 89, 90.
Springer a pretty healthy lead and has to dive back in ahead of the throw. George is 4 for 4 stealing bases.
Pick your spots, right?
The Blue Jays as a team are 19 for 22 stealing bases. So again, not running a ton, but running effectively. So.
Much improved from last year, and I think that was the goal coming in.
And a full count. Now we'll see if John Schneider's in the mood to start the runner.
Why not, right? Take your shot. Vladdy's not a guy that strikes out a ton.
He's going. Swung on and missed, and there's no throw from Ruiz, who kind of double clutched on it. And Springer will steal the base, his 5th of the season, on the strikeout by Guerrero.
Well, Barnes does get the strikeout of Vladdy. Cutter slider down and away, and he chases. But Ruiz can't come up with a clean handle of the baseball.
So a runner in scoring position with a 1 down for Justin Turner, who was DH today, hitting 3rd. He is struck out and walked. Center field and well hit. Young going back on the track and makes the catch. Springer goes back to tag and still has time to get to 3rd, as Turner hit it a ton, but hit it to the wrong part of the ballpark.
Excellent base running here by George Springer. With 1 out, you want to make sure that you're scoring on something like this, but he's out there. But now he realizes it's deep, but the center fielder is going to get under it and make the catch easily, so he goes back to the second base bag and still advances the 90 feet. That's exactly how you do it. Base running 101 right there.
When you're scuffling at the plate too, to play good defense and run the base as well, I mean, you'll take any way to help your team, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what managers are looking for. Don't take your offense out on the base pass or into the field with you.
Bichette, first pitch swinging, fly ball to right field. Rosario is right there, and the side is retired, stranding Springer at 3rd. Well, without question, a strength a year ago for the Blue Jays was the starting pitching, and we are starting to see that round into form. I mean, Barrios has been great, American League Pitcher of the Month in April. Kikuchi's been great. Bassett coming off a good outing, and Kevin Gausman continues to be very stingy. 5 1/3, did not allow a run. This is the kind of thing you need if you're going to get on a winning streak.
Yeah, good run to see Chris Bassett back in action there against the Royals. Just 3 runs, and yes, with Kevin Gausman coming off the injured list, it's taken some time. He's probably admit that he's not there yet, but looking like he's getting awfully close, and I think he just needed to build up. It was a rush spring for him, and now Alek Manoah, you have to feel like coming into the rotation right now that you've got to do your part. These guys have been doing a heck of a job, and he's going to have to do his part to keep up.
Blue Jays 6 and the Nationals 2, bottom of the fourth. Eddie Rosario tapped back to the mound his first time up. And this time lines one hard into center for a base hit as we check in with Hazel May.
Dan, Kevin Gausman hoping to see the Manoah we're all used to seeing. But beyond that, Gausman told me he's happy Manoah is in a good place mentally. He's obviously had a tough go at it since getting sent down last summer. Being around him, Gausman said it feels like he's back to being himself. He's such a character, such a great personality who enjoys being around the guys, Gausman said. To kind of see him back to loving life again is just so great. Dan.
Hazel, thank you. Yeah, big guy, big personality. This one popped up very shallow right, backpedaling Kiner Falefa is going to make the catch. Trey Lipscomb is retired for the first out. And, you know, who knows what thing or things, and it's probably things, led to the kind of season that Alek Manoah had last year, but it's got to take a toll on you mentally when you've had the kind of success that he did, and now he's just trying to get back to the big leagues.
It's where he came from and then where he went, and it has to be a struggle for any elite athlete to fall that far, but he is doing his best in his part to try to get back to where he once was, and he's in a very good place in terms of being in the right place with the team. And hearing Hazel's comments from a fellow rotation mate like a Kevin Gausman, these guys are pulling for him, his teammates are behind him, and they need him.
Yeah, people may not remember there was a time last year Manoah had been demoted but then recalled. He's in the rotation, and then Hyunjin Ryu gets healthy. And for a while they used a 6-man rotation. I think they went 3 times around. But then they ran into a stretch of the schedule kind of like they're in right now. Off day, off day, off day. And they just didn't want to carry 6 starters and have guys have that much rest. And they had to make a decision, and that was when Manoah was demoted for the second time. And he didn't pitch again, either in the majors or in Buffalo. Doesn't get the call, and it's 3-1.
I'm sure he will be the first to admit, regardless of how the rest of this goes, to say that he felt great at times, other times he was fighting that delivery. So showing those inconsistencies, but he's still in a really good place here to attack these hitters. Just missing.
4th walk given up today, 2 on with 1 out.
And the issue is you may get away with some of these things against this Washington Nationals team, who's not one of the top offenses in the league, but the better lineups you face, they don't let you get away with these free passes too often.
The dangerous C.J. Abrams, who has been seeing a steady diet of the slider from Alek Manoah. A little half swing, Tapper to third, charging Clement to make the play and get him. 2 down as the runners advance.
Smart play by Ernie, too, to get the easy out at first base. He knows he's playing the scoreboard right now, up 4 runs. It's still early in the 4th inning, but get your outs when they give them to you.
All right, let me ask you this. It's 6-2. You got a base open. You got a left-handed batter up who's been a real problem for the Blue Jays in this series, and Luis Garcia Jr. The right-hand hitting Nick Senzel's on deck. And didn't have time to get into the conversation, because the liner to center will drive in 2. But I think you got where I was going.
Yes, I did. And what I was going to say is I would be very careful with a guy like this, because you'd rather the matchup with the guy on deck in the open base. But at the same time, I'm not sure Alek's in a position right now to be putting somebody on to get to the next guy, because his command just hasn't been as good. You can open up a big can of worms, but either way, Garcia wastes no time to cash in a couple more runs and make this a ball game.
He is now 6 for 8 with 7 RBIs in the series. And all of a sudden it's 6-4. And again, the other complication or potential complication today is we don't know exactly who is available out of the bullpen, but without question, you would think multiple guys are unavailable, so they got to stretch Manoah out as much as they can, get as many outs out of him as they can. Meanwhile, it looks like Jordan Weems will be coming in for the Nationals, who have nothing but right-handers in their bullpen. 8 righties down there. And a liner to left, and that's down for a base hit. The throw to third, not in time, and into second goes Senzel. And the tying runs are aboard now for the Nationals.
Well, Davis Schneider might make another decision with this baseball. I don't think you really had a shot at third base, and now you allow the batter runner to move into scoring position, representing the tying run. I'm all for this if you've got a really good shot to get him. Close, yeah, not really. Keep that batter runner on first.
And now Pete Walker to the mound, and we'll see if that coincides with somebody getting up in the bullpen. But this one felt fairly comfortable a little while ago. It was 6-1 going to the bottom of the third. It's 6-4 right now. And it'll be Jesse Winker coming to the plate.
Another little backup slider that time from Manoah. 0-2 pitch, but we've seen him have trouble with that pitch. Thrown some good ones, but also thrown many of them that have backed up like that and stayed on the inner half. It's a dangerous place to miss.
And Nate Pearson has started to throw. Winker has walked and been hit by a pitch, as Manoah misses outside for ball 1.
Winker has been scuffling lately. He's walked twice today, but here's your same scenario, Dan, with the open base and Meneses, the righty, on deck. Very few changeups from Alec today, trying to break out a pitch against Winker in his third plate appearance.
Two and 0. And a strike right on the outside corner. Little assist to Kirk, and it's 2-1. All of a sudden here, base hit likely ties the game.
He's a good off-speed hitter. I'd stay hard and I'd stay inside. Don't give him anything he can handle.
Leaked out over the plate.
That's the danger of that pitch right there. And when you're right, it's burying in there, and that's not always happening right now for Alec. But you have to get this pitch inside. And as I've said before, if you miss, you end up walking him. If you miss a couple times, even if you hit him, but this is the guy you don't want to beat you. And you don't want him to beat you with an off-speed pitch.
Slider down and in. 3-2. Meneses would be next.
He doesn't have the luxury of pitching around people, but I pound that fastball inside here, but make sure you get it in there.
Ripped to right center field. Gone. And Jesse Winker has given Washington a 7-6 lead. He went with the slider, and Winker hit it out.
A very good off-speed hitter in Jesse Winker from the left side, and that's why I felt you use your fastball, bury it inside. If you walk him, if you hit him, so what? You take your chances with the righty on deck. They went soft again, and Winker showed why he is doing damage against off-speed pitches. Slider just rolled in there in the middle of the zone, and Winker is not missing that one. This is part pitcher, part catcher. They both have to get together here and understand the game plan. It's one thing to not execute a pitch, but it's another to really throw probably the wrong one.
Now Meneses with a fly ball to right, and finally the bottom of the fourth comes to a close, but 5 runs in the inning for the Nationals. Sports, especially in the second inning, ground out, strikeout, strikeout. He had 5 strikeouts through 2 1 unearned run, but command issues, falling behind in the count, and then, you know, it's one thing to miss outside of the strike zone, but you've talked about it a number of times. When you miss in a bad spot in the strike zone, that's when you really get hurt.
With a breaking pitch to a dangerous hitter that hits non-fastballs really, really well. Again, that's part of your game plan of actually trying to pitch to him with the secondary pitches. And you don't have a lot of luxuries with, you can talk, like I said about the base open, I would still not have him beat me, but bottom line is you have to execute pitches, and he didn't at a big time.
So it's 7-6 Nationals, top of the 5th. Davis Schneider leading it off. Schneider is 2 for 2, a single and a double.
And he's facing a new pitcher, Jordan Weems, who's allowed just 3 extra base hits this season, a couple of doubles and a home run. Pitched a scoreless inning yesterday against the Blue Jays. Walked 1 and struck out a pair. Walk's been an issue for him this season, and sure enough, Davis draws 1 to lead it off.
So here's Dalton Varsho, who reached on a fielder's choice and then popped up a bunt attempt, trying to bunt for a base hit. And a called strike on the inside corner. Long way to go. This game is just in the top of the 5th. Hour 25 rain delay at the start, and it's been over an hour and a half to play the first 4 innings with all the offense. Didn't go. Schneider getting some info from Mark Budzinski down at first. 2 balls and a strike.
Weems pretty well just fastball slider. Mid-90s with that fastball.
Into right center, and that's going to get down for a base hit. Schneider up to second on the single by Varsho.
Keep swinging it, Dalton. Little spinner from Weems. Left it right out over the middle of the plate, and Dalton's all over it.
So the first 2 have reached. The Blue Jays trying to get back on top after they just surrendered the lead, and now Jim Hickey, the pitching coach, is on his way out to the mound. After the first 2 reach, he wants to have a conversation with the Weems as Alejandro Kirk comes to the plate. And it looks like Derek Law is getting up. Boy, Law went 2 innings through 29 pitches last night.
Yeah, and a tough one. Couple of innings, couple of runs. 4 hits to the Blue Jays.
He gave up the Kiermaier home run.
Bullpen's been fairly solid for the Nats too, and Dave Martinez is going to need them this afternoon.
I don't think these managers are thinking ahead that far, but they're probably both very happy they have an off day tomorrow with the way the bullpens are going to get used here today. So here's Kirk. Alejandro has walked and scored and also lined out to right. Takes it outside.
Luis Garcia Jr. at second base is going to hold Schneider as much as he can, not letting him get too much of a secondary lead. Dalton Varsho's all eyes in case Schneider takes off.
This one will find the seats. A ball and 2 strikes. So the Blue Jays offense has found its footing here today, including the Guerrero grand slam. They've scored 6, but they've given up 7 with this game just in the top of the 5th. Time called. This is new for Kirk, waiting to the last possible moment in a 2-strike count and then using his timeout. He's done this a number of times. By the way, the last time the Blue Jays scored more than 6 runs in a game was on the opening road trip of the season. They did it 3 times on the opening road trip. Twice at the Trop against the Rays and once at Yankee Stadium. Haven't done it since. That's more than 6 runs. This one up the middle. Diving stop. Abrams. Throw to first, and they got him. So a terrific effort by C.J. Abrams as they get the out onto Kirk. We'll see if the Blue Jays ask for a challenge here. Kirk seems to think they will, the way he's hanging around on the base, but no, says John Schneider. So Kirk retired and the runners advance.
Well, it's a great play by Abrams just to get to this ball and knock it down. He saves the run. Schneider would have scored easily. The throw is to the right of Joey Meneses, but it appears as though he stays on that bag just long enough. Great job just stopping that ball, but with Kirk the runner, got a chance to get him, and he does.
So instead of the bases loaded, nobody out on that terrific play by Abrams, it'll be 2nd and 3rd, 1 out, and another pitching change here at Nationals Park. And so, but he loves his dogs so much that they're part of his bobblehead. Infield in here for the Nationals. Derek Law comes into the game with runners at 2nd and 3rd, 1 out, and the batter is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa.
Cutters, a lot of sliders from Law, second among National League relievers with 23 strikeouts. And that's the pitch that the slider that Kevin Kiermaier hit out of the park for a 2-run homer, and the 2 runs he gave up yesterday.
And so on the Blue Jays side of things, one of the decisions that you have to make here is the contact play on? With a runner at 3rd, it's not on very often with nobody out. It's much more common with 1 out. Obviously depends on the speed of the base runner at 3rd too. Davis Schneider is the runner there.
I've got it on. Contact guy and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Hopefully he can get it in the air.
Lines it to right. Schneider goes back to tag. Rosario the catch, and Schneider's going to come in and score. Varsho will take 3rd as well. And Rosario had to back up to make the catch. Couldn't get a lot of the throw, and that's another RBI, the 3rd of the game for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa.
RBI machine. Kiner-Falefa did it on that bouncer in the 2nd inning, and an RBI single in the 3rd, and this was a shot right at the right fielder. No contact play here. Schneider back to the bag and tags easily.
So runner at 3rd, 2 down. It's tied again. This time it's 7. And here's Ernie Clement, who's had a base hit, and he's also struck out. A little bit up. 1-1.
Isaiah did a nice job with that slider down in the zone to drop the bat head on it, line it to right field. You know there's talk down there. Kevin Kiermaier said it after the game last night. Yeah, you're looking for a breaking ball. He had been throwing a lot of them last night, so Kevin stepped up and hit the first one he saw.
Tricky play, and it's going to get through Abrams, and in to score is Varsho as the Blue Jays take the lead.
Hard hit ball off the bat of Ernie Clement, and it was too hot to handle. Abrams backing up on it, and that ball just ate him up. One hopper. You can see him back up just a bit, trying to get himself a good hop. Ball carried enough to short hop him. Cannot make the play.
And an error has been charged on Abrams on the play. So Clement aboard on the error, no RBI for him. The third error of the ball game for the Nationals and the 7th in their last 2 games. The batter is George Springer, 1 for 3. Clement getting some info now from Mark Budzinski. Ernie is 2 for 2 stealing bases.
Good time to give it a shot with 2 outs. Your leadoff hitter up. But the situation has to be right, depending on, and that's the information that Budzinski will be sharing with Clement. The pitcher's time to the plate. Does he have any tendencies where he can get a good jump?
Got a bigger lead here. Took a step, stopped, and Springer takes it down and away. 2 balls and a strike on George. Two and two. There goes Clement, but it's waved at it by Springer as he strikes out to retire the side. The Blue Jays, though, do get 2 and have the lead back again as we check in with Jamie Campbell. Well for Alek Manoah.
Looked like he was starting off on the right foot, Dan, and then it just fell out of sync in the latter part of that first inning. Looked like he found it again, but then you can't be missing the zone as much as he had. And he's talking to Chris Bassett about that right now. And Chris is a guy that I'm sure will continue to hammer that home, that point of pounding the zone. Those walks will come back to haunt you and just seem to be fighting it for the most part.
So here's Nate Pearson, who has had his ups and downs in a couple of ways, both between the major leagues and AAA, and also kind of good outing, rough outing, good outing, rough outing when he's been here with the Blue Jays. And last night fell into the rough outing category when a third of an inning, gave up a run, gave up a hit, gave up a walk, hit a batter as well. And if the Blue Jays are to win this game, they are asking the bullpen to get 15 outs here today. And he hit them. Threw a slider down and in and hits the first batter. They're asking if it was a swing. And it was. So on the appeal down to third, it's a swing, and that overrides the hit by pitch.
Hard slider bearing down and in on the left-handed batter. Ruiz went a little too far. It's a good call.
He didn't try to swing.
Nope. Didn't try to swing, but you have to call that.
Yeah. That's an unusual one. He just was kind of bailing out of the way. And now adding injury to insult. He's in a lot of pain as well. Nobody's coming out to check on him. But you don't love seeing that Pearson missed by that much again.
Well, that's that slider against the left-handed hitter. That will bite down and in like that.
So it's a ball and a strike on Keibert Ruiz, leading off the bottom of the 5th. 1-2.
That's where Nate tries to throw that real nasty curveball. You got a 1-2 count. You really want to try to bury that. And as a pitcher, you just up too much. That arm trails and you never get out front with it.
And a roller to second. Kiner Falefa comes to get it, makes the play, 1 down.
This season, we're swinging for doubles. New Bud Light Double Lime, here for a limited time. A refreshing taste that's easy to enjoy.
Cloudy day here in Washington. A rain delay of an hour and 25 minutes at the beginning of the game. And just soft tossing right now is Genesis Cabrera. And the Blue Jays have a lot of outs still to get. Asking their bullpen to do a lot here. But Cabrera getting ready just in case he is needed. And maybe that Abrams Garcia spot, second and third in the order. Rosario's the number 8 hitter. So if it were to get to the two lefties hitting second and third, that's probably the spot for Genesis.
Always tough on left-handed batters with that cutter curveball combination. Good velocity as well.
Rosario 1 for 2.
You can almost see pitchers, and we saw this in Alec today too, fighting it when the ball's taking off on you one way, arm side, coming out of your delivery, and then they try to overcompensate and really yank it and pull it to the glove side. Trying to find that happy medium. Alex taking input from everyone right now.
Two pretty good guys to take input from right there, Bassett and Gausman.
And when Kevin has his two fingers together like that and they're moving him to his right, he's talking about that two-seam fastball and that movement. Arm side into a righty, away to a lefty. This is a tutorial right now. They've got the iPad out. Chris is saying this is the plate right here. He moves his right hand. You make that plate a little wider. You can expand the zone.
Fly ball to center. Rosario retired. What would you give to have a microphone down there right now?
Well, Chris is pulling the bat out. And he said, okay, this part is the middle part of the plate. And he's dividing the plate up right now. These are parts of the plate he's describing right there. So you want to start maybe middle early in the count. And I don't know that that's what he's saying, but using his hands there, I think what he's doing is describing parts of home plate that you're working with. I would think what he's saying is, hey, early in the count, work the middle part of the plate right here, this middle 2/3. And then if you get ahead, that's when he slid his hands over. Now you can move over to that side.
Now Lipscomb with a ground ball to third, and in the end it's a 3-up, 3-down inning for Nate Pearson. We'll go to the 6th with the Blue Jays leading 8-7, and the guy who's already hit a grand slam here today is going to lead it off, top 6.
Now Cloud, exit velocity over 108 miles per hour, deep into the left field seats. It seems like long ago he put the Blue Jays up 5-1. They now lead it 8-7 in the 6th.
A lot going on here today.
It seemed like a couple days ago. A lot of action.
Guerrero, Turner, and Bichette coming up here in the 6th. And they will see yet another new pitcher. Dave Martinez has made another move as another right-hander has come in. Dylan Floro has checked into the game.
Second in the National League in ERA. It's at .57. He's been very good over 15 2/3 innings of work. He has walked 7 but struck out 13. Not overpowering by any means. Four-seamer and sinker. Two different fastballs. Right around 90, a slider and a changeup. So quite the pitch mix. And Vladdy should see all 4.
He went a scoreless inning on Friday night, retiring Biggio, Vogelback, and Springer. He'll get the 2, 3, 4 part of the order here on this Sunday afternoon. In addition to the grand slam, a base hit and a strikeout for Guerrero. Floro's been around, had a couple of good years for the Dodgers. Started off with the Rays. He's also been with the Cubs and the Reds and the Marlins and the Twins. Boy, relief pitchers can bounce around.
Sure can. They'll use that sinker a lot to righties. See Ruiz with that target inside.
Bouncer to third. Big hop for Lipscomb. Low throw dug out at first. by Meneses. Guerrero retired.
A lot of ground balls from Floro because of that sinking action on his fastball, and Vladdy did exactly that, pounding it into the ground. Boy, it just never seems like anything's done smoothly with this Washington defense.
No, it's been the infield really, right?
Yeah,
the outfield's been fine, but it's been on the infield. 7 errors the last 2 games, a total of 8 unearned runs. Justin Turner is 0 for 2 with a walk. Nobody up in the Blue Jay pen, so Nate Pearson's coming back out. And again, he hit the batter. He hit Ruiz, but Ruiz was called for a swing, which he definitely did. So that nullified the hit by pitch. Nate got him to ground out and then retired Rosario and Lipscomb. So he wound up with a fairly quick 3-up, 3-down inning. The 1-2, and that's down and away. Blue Jays up to Philadelphia, as we mentioned, an off day tomorrow, a 2-game series with their so-called natural rival, the Phillies. That's why instead of a 3-game series either at my place or your place every year, it's 2 and 2 every year with the Phillies. 2 in Toronto, 2 in Philadelphia. That's why they've got the off day on both sides of it. Blue Jays will see left-hander Christopher Sanchez, and then they'll see Aaron Nola. Now the ground ball to third for Lipscomb. 2 down. There's Bo Bichette. Bo is 0 for 3. Big swing and a miss at a first pitch breaking ball. And again. What are you seeing with Bo's at bats?
So I think with Bo, there are at times when he gets such a good load with his backside, and he may be leaking a little bit, but there are also times that I've seen some pretty good swings lately. It makes me feel like he's coming out of it. And every time I say that, it doesn't seem to happen. But that's where you just wonder if there's one at bat or one day where he's going to find that, he gets that big coil with his body. And if you don't get that big coil and you fall forward a little bit too soon, you can really come under to work underneath the baseball.
There have been a number of guys whose numbers are below their career norms. To me, this is the most surprising just because of what he's done over the last 5 years. You look at the end of every season and the numbers are so similar.
And that's also what makes you think he's going to snap out of it. It's certainly been a struggle here early on in the season. But you have 2 choices, right? You keep battling, you keep working day in and day out. And the other choice isn't a choice.
It's a very short list of players who don't go through this kind of thing.
And you hope he gets out of it real soon, and it's a bad month. That's how you look back on it. Many good hitters can recover from a bad month.
He'll draw the walk.
And that's a good sign, too. Oftentimes when you're struggling, you want to try to do a little bit extra. You want to start chasing hits. I don't think he's doing that. He's had some good swings.
So has this guy. Davis Schneider is 2 for 2 with a walk. He has singled and doubled, scored a couple of runs, and even stole third earlier in this game. He is making life difficult for his manager in a good way.
Yes.
At the beginning of the season, it was, spot him in here and there, get him in against lefties, try to find a good matchup for him against righties, and he has just worked his way well beyond that at this point.
very different look from Floro because it's nothing overpowering at all when you're accustomed to seeing 95, 96 most of the day.
Popped up back of second. And Garcia back in the outfield to make the catch as Schneider and the Blue Jays are retired. It is 8-7. Blue Jays going to bottom 6. Now drops in Washington, D.C., hoping to see their team win the series and make their flights home after the rain delay. Nate Pearson back out. Jacob Young is the batter. Young and then a couple of left-handed batters, and Abrams and a Garcia. Cabrera is ready if needed in the bullpen, so this could be last batter one way or another for Nate. Line drive to right center field, and that'll split the outfielders and get to the wall. Young speeds into second with a double.
Hard hit ball by Young up the right center gap. Nate came back-to-back fastballs, and it was a good fastball at 99 up and out over the plate, but Young pounded it into the gap. And that'll be it for Nate.
Pearson on his way out. Cabrera on his way in.
Next time.
Left-hander Yenesis Cabrera now into the game for the Blue Jays.
13 games for Cabrera. He's pitched in 12 innings, 8 walks and 8 strikeouts, and he walked 3 the other night here against the Nats. Only recorded a couple of outs, allowed 4 unearned runs.
Yeah, there were 3 walks, 2 hits, 2 errors that happened late enough in the inning that, or early enough in the inning, I should say, that made the runs unearned, but he still allowed 5 men to reach base by either hit or walk. And he's on to deal with a couple of good left-handed hitters here in C.J. Abrams and Luis Garcia Jr. with a runner at second and nobody out. Ground ball backhanded by Kiner Falefa, steadies himself and it makes the play. 1 down as the runner comes to third.
It's a big out for Cabrera. He's very tough on left-handed hitters, but C.J. Abrams has been very good against left-handed pitchers. So to retire the Nats shortstop is a small victory, even though the runner advances to third.
So runner at third, the tying run at third with a 1 out of the 6th inning, and the infield is in for the Blue Jays for Garcia, who has been a real problem, as we said after his last at bat. He is now 6 for 8 with 2 homers and 7 RBIs in this series. Three for 3 today. Off the corner, 2-0.
A lot of those cutters against lefties, he'll stay out there with it, and then he'll run that sinker in. But his most effective pitch against these left-handed hitters has been that cutter away, trying to get something to roll on the ground.
Left center field, and it's a base hit. He's done it again. He's tied the game, and he is out at second. Trying to stretch a single into a double, but the RBI single has tied the game at 8.
He has beat up Blue Jays pitching. Cabrera leaves this one out over the plate. It's a cutter down, but it's in the middle of the plate, and he stays on it very well, driving it into the left center gap.
Good accurate throw by Dalton Varsho out in center to get him. To erase the base runner, but the game is tied.
Good throw and good tag by Connor Falefa. So often you see that tag go down, and guys will use the swim move to avoid the glove.
Now Nick Senzel gives one a ride to left field, but backing up and there to make the catch on the track is Davis Schneider, and that will end the inning. End of 6. 8-8. With 8 runs on 8 hits today. Sorry, Joe.
That's the 7th inning, but it's late in the day because we had a delay, and it's 8-8. A lot of action today.
A lot of action, and really still a long way to go. Dalton Varsho leading it off. 8 runs, 8 hits, and 1 error for the Blue Jays. 8 runs, 8 hits, and 3 errors for the Nationals. Each team has left 6 men on. Not a lot to separate these two teams here today. Varsho's 1 for 3. Singled and scored his last time up. He scored a couple of runs on the day. He reached on a fielder's choice and scored back in the 2nd. When the Blue Jays get to Philadelphia, they're going to be meeting up with a team that at the moment has the best record in baseball. The Phillies are 23-11 on the season. Popped up by Varsho, and a play for Lipscomb in foul territory. The Phillies have the Sunday night game tonight. They'll play the Giants, and they host the Giants again tomorrow afternoon. So the Blue Jays will get to Philadelphia tonight, probably catch the last half of that Phillies game, and then the Phillies have a whole other game to play tomorrow before they get ready for the Blue Jays.
Always good pitching. They'll see a couple of good starters. Of course, Aaron Nola being one of them. And they've been swinging the bats as well.
Trey Turner just went on the IL. One of the game's, in my opinion, one of the game's most talented players. He scored from second on a pass ball a few days ago, but injured his hamstring in the process and went on the IL.
Alec Boehm is heated up for sure at the plate, swinging the bats.
He left yesterday or Friday, I can't remember, with a hip issue just yesterday. Left yesterday's game with a hip issue, so have to see if he's available. Danny Jansen staying loose in case they call his number.
Maybe even to run.
For Kirk.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's not forget Whit Merrifield is a Philly now.
That's right.
Hit a home run yesterday. Kind of a part-time role, little second, a little left. Came in for Boehm at third when Boehm left yesterday. Kind of Falefa, who's driven in 3 runs today, waits on deck. That's a fair ball, and it's off the glove of Lipscomb and down the line. Kirk is on his way to second, and it's dropped out in left field by Winker, so there's no throw, and Alejandro Kirk is at second base.
Well, Floro got him to beat it in the ground, but he beat it in the ground right down that third base line, and that last hop just looked like it skipped past Lipscomb. Bounced off the rail, and they got a little help from the left fielder also, and it will indeed be a pinch runner for Alejandro.
So Danny Jansen into run, and then obviously will stay in the game and catch. He represents the go-ahead run, and here comes Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Can he drive in his 4th run in as many at bats?
It's the guy you want on the plate, isn't it?
He's making the contact, doing what needs to be done, and he lines one into left, a base hit. Jansen is going to be held. They had to wait a moment to see if it would get through, and Carlos Fablis stopping Jansen at 3rd.
Well, right guy, right spot again. Kiner-Falefa, another base hit. But because as a runner on second base, Danny had to wait just to make sure that the shortstop didn't make a diving grab. It's the right job by a base runner. Excellent base running by Jansen. You just have to take the 90 feet.
So now Ernie Clement is the batter. 1 for 3 today. And he gets a bunt down. Jansen coming home, and he never got to the plate. He kind of sized it up for a while, didn't get going right away, and is tagged out at home plate.
This is usually a designed play, and it's almost a guaranteed run. The first baseman's way back, but Jansen's got to get a bigger jump. Because the ball went in the air to start, he hesitated, and that's what cost him. Watch Danny. Stops, realizes then it's going down, and that gives the first baseman time to charge and get him. That hesitation right there. Twice, actually.
And a pitching change now coming for the Nats. To the first 15th out of the inning, Blue Jays had runners first and third, one out. Could not get that go-ahead run home.
I love that play, Dan. It's one of the greatest plays in baseball, and it's almost indefensible. But Danny got a very tough read because Ernie's bunt popped up in the air to start, and that's what caused him to hesitate. I think if he had to do it over again, he'd probably just shut it down and go back to third. He's a good base runner. He's not a flyer that maybe can afford to stop like that. But if Ernie gets that bunt right on the ground, the trajectory of the pitch, it's almost like a contact play with a batted ball. But that pop-up caused a slight hesitation, and that's what cost them.
So Jansen remains in the game to catch. Pete Walker's on the phone to get somebody up in the pen. Genesis Cabrera back out for the bottom of the 7th in an 8-8 tie, as it just got a little bit gustier here in Washington. Things just changed, didn't they?
A little cooler too,
yeah.
maybe?
The weather just changed, and not in a good direction. Line to left, and it gets past Schneider. Winker will stop at second, so he got an extra 90 feet out of it. It'll be a single and an error on Davis Schneider here to begin the bottom of the 7th.
Winker inside out at this pitch, and you'll see that Davis Schneider just over pursued it off the bat. It's going to slice toward the line, but he over pursued it too much, and it actually came back on him right there. You see that bounce comes back to his left.
And no error assigned on the play because of the bounce and how it got by him, how it spun back. It has been scored a double for Jesse Winker, so my mistake for jumping to a conclusion there. Cabrera is out, and Eric Swanson will be the next pitcher out of the bullpen for the Blue Jays.
Take that for what it's worth. Pitchers do struggle at times, but he does have a lot of movement.
Right center field. Springer over, makes the catch. Winker's going to tag and advance to third.
It's always challenging for pitchers, especially that throw splitters, because you've got to dig deep into that pitch. So anytime you're in your glove and you're going to that pitch, he'll start with that grip, but there's glove movement. You'll see his glove move. It's come where you come set. He has to iron this out, whatever it is, and I think he will, but it's just been a tough start to his season after being sidelined.
All splitter pitchers have to be a little bit more cognizant of this, right? They start with a splitter grip and adjust to the other pitches.
Most start with and adjust to the others.
Infield in now for the Blue Jays with the go-ahead run at third and one out in the bottom of the seventh. Keibert Ruiz, the catcher, is 0 for 3. That's dribbled foul, 1-1.
And this is the type of hitter and the type of situation. Your infield is in, but you're not looking for a ground ball at somebody. You're looking for a strikeout. So I'm sure he will pound that splitter down in the zone, trying to get Ruiz to chase.
Winker, the runner at third, is not a quick guy. Here's the 1-1. Fouled off, 1-2.
May change the plane once with a fastball up in the zone, but go right back down to that splitter. But you have to make him beat you with your best pitch, the splitter. And you have to go for that punch out down.
And he got him. A big second out for Eric Swanson.
That is the one right there. Good job that whole at bat by Jansen and Swanson, but that's a great location too when you're ahead. Get him to expand.
It shouldn't be forgotten how important and valuable a part of the bullpen Eric Swanson was last year. He had a great year for the Blue Jays last year. Here's Eddie Rosario. And getting Swanson right, getting him hopefully back to where he was a year ago, would be a big boost for a bullpen that needs a couple of boosts right now.
They do indeed, and I think Tim Mays is in that conversation as well. You think of how valuable he has been. Get these guys back to what they've been doing.
The 1-0. In the air, right center. It is hit a long way, and it's gone. And Swanson gives up his second home run here in the series as the Nationals go back on top.
He laid off the first splitter down, and Eric comes back with it. Down and in the strike zone, right into that lefty's rake zone. And that didn't fool him one bit. It's been a struggle for Rosario early, and it's really been a struggle against off-speed pitches, but he was all over that splitter from Swanson.
So it is 10-8 Washington. Second home run of the season for Eddie Rosario. Trey Lipscomb is 0 for 3.
No doubter. If you're looking for the split from Swanson, what you can do as a left-handed hitter, you're going to get lots of them. And it doesn't do a whole lot, stays at the bottom of the zone. That's right into the barrel. That pitch is much different than the one he struck out Ruiz on.
This one gets by Guerrero, but Kiner Falefa will back up the play. And safe at first, though, is the call, as James Hoy said Swanson was not on the bag.
I wonder if he missed the base. He was pretty adamant with the call right away that Swanson was not on the bag.
And the Blue Jays will challenge.
Nice feed from Kiner Falefa. Gives it right to Swanson right at the right time, but I just wonder if his foot was maybe beside the base and not on it. James Hoy had a great angle from where he was.
It's impossible to tell whether the outside of his foot was touching the side of the bag. But if it's impossible to tell, the call is going to stand, and the call was safe. At least from the angles we've seen, you can't definitively say yes or no, and that means the call would stand.
They may get another angle in New York, more of an angle that James Hoy had, but he didn't seem to hesitate at all. He right away motioned with his hands.
And Gerardo Parra, for what it's worth, the first base coach, did the exact same thing right as Lipscomb was crossing the bag.
After you review the call in the field, stands the runner safe. Toronto will lose their challenge.
An error has been charged to Swanson on the play, allowing the inning to continue.
Well, he's out if he's on the base, and I think Kiner Falefa did a nice job. I don't know if he got a piece of Vladdy first, but he made a good throw to Swanson. He just couldn't find the bag.
So now Jacob Young, the leadoff man, who is 1 for 3 with a double. He's also walked, and he's scored 3 times. You know, go figure, when you're not having the kind of season you want to have, you have one of the best offensive days you've had all year. The Blue Jays have scored 8, but they've had one of the toughest days on the other side of the ball they've had all year, giving up 10. Popped up, shallow right, going back Kiner Falefa, and he'll make the catch. And now the inning is over. Nationals 10, Blue Jays 8, go to the 8th as we get a Blue Jays Central update with Jamie and Caleb. Hunter Harvey is the pitcher. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. leads it off. Vladdy is 2 for 4. The grand slam back in the second. Harvey can bring it. He averages 98 on the fastball.
Got 2 breaking balls, the curveball and the slider, but it's the splitter that he'll couple with that high velocity fastball, making it tough on hitters.
97 at the knees, 1-2. Vladdy wants his timeout. Justin Turner and Bo Bichette still to come here in the 8th inning.
Vladdy had been hitting some baseballs pretty hard of late, and the Blue Jays could certainly use one right now. Need a base runner to get that tying run to the plate.
Foul ball up the right field line. Straightens him up at 99, and now it's a full count. And Turner next. You can see Bichette behind him on the steps getting ready. 2-3-4 for the Blue Jays here in the 8th. And ball 4. The leadoff man is aboard.
Good take by Vladdy, not only taking for ball 4, but knowing it was down. He identified that pitch early, laid off, and now the tying run comes to the plate in the name of Turner.
Turner's 0 for 3 with a walk. And he starts him with a breaking ball for a strike. Short lead by Guerrero. Same pitch, but he missed outside. 1-1.
Justin seeing both of those pitches very well to lay off. And if he's looking for that heater, good job taking those pitches.
And so far, Harvey hasn't wanted to give him a fastball. It's 1-2.
Nor has he wanted to give him anything near the middle of the plate.
He knows Turner wants to pull it and get it in the air. Hit something hard to left. Something Turner's very good at. The art of two-strike hitting.
He's something, isn't he?
Yep.
Definitely staying away from Justin.
Left center, well hit. And caught. Oh my. Guerrero was all the way to second, and he'll get back. But I think Jesse Winker surprised himself by catching that ball.
He took a look back at the wall, Dan, and when he took that look, I'm not sure he picked up the baseball real well after. But he does a nice job recovering. Watch Vladdy, too. You've got to make sure that if you round the second base bag, there's Winker when he looked back, and he just barely caught back. But Vladdy's got to make sure that if you round the second base bag that you retag it. He almost forgot. Whoop, make sure you retag it before you go back. Good base running by Vladdy.
Winker is not known for his defense, and he almost had like a second glance at his glove, and a squeeze is like, is that in there? Took away potential extra bases from Justin Turner. Bichette with a ground ball to third. Lipscomb's playing on the line, and the Nats turn 2. And just like that, it's on to the bottom of the 8th.
That trade was pitching very well. He's trying to regain that form that he had with the Blue Jays when he came over in that trade from the Marlins in 2022. He's doing ERA under 2 in 17 games.
And now this one is driven to left center field, and it's going to get down and off the wall on a bounce. And that is going to be a leadoff double for C.J. Abrams.
Well, nothing fancy from Zach. He's got a good hard-moving sinker to go with his slider, and he's usually up in the mid-90s, but you can see this one is center cut. And C.J. Abrams is all over it.
And now Ildemaro Vargas is coming up as a pinch hitter for Luis Garcia Jr. So maybe something going on with Garcia. Or maybe they just wanted to get a bunt down. Throw to third off the glove of Clement. Everybody is safe. Clement will get it back into the plate, and the Nationals have runners at first and third.
Well, the bunt did not veer far from home plate, so Danny does the right thing by jumping on it and trying to get that lead runner, but you see Ernie retreating to the third base bag, and that throw from Danny just sailed into the runner a little bit. Looked like Ernie got a little bit on it, and then it caught the runner to try to save that run, baby. Ernie thought he was gone.
So it'll be a sacrifice for Vargas, and he'll reach on a fielder's choice. So it is first and third with nobody out, and the Blue Jays already down a couple. Here's Nick Senzel. Boy, 6-1 Blue Jays in the third seems like a long time ago now. It's 10-8 Nationals in the 8th. Two. Looking ahead at the top of the 9th, the Blue Jays will send up Davis Schneider, Dalton Varsho, and Danny Jansen. And they will need at least 2, depending on how things go here in the bottom of the 8th. Strike three call. Out number one.
Well, that is what Zach Pop needed right there. Because with the strikeout, now if you get a ground ball in the infield, you could still turn two. Bo Bichette and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa in the middle. They're backing up about halfway, about even with the baseline.
All the infielders looking into the dugout. Carlos Fabulous in charge, and now they're going to walk Winker. So the Blue Jays will intentionally walk Winker, load the bases, set up a force at the plate.
And Zach, with that sinker, can get a lot of ground balls. That's why the strikeouts are so big. Keep the ball out of play. Now you can put it in play.
And you know what? This makes sense. I mean, sometimes the difference between getting it out of the plate or not is whether it's a force or not a force play. I mean, if that run comes in, it's 13-8, and I mean the game's probably lost by then anyway. So they're trying to increase their chances of nobody scoring here this inning. I think this move makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense to me too. And the only thing it does do is it loads the bases so there's no room for error now for Pop. But you have to take your chances like that. You're down two. You're trying to limit the damage here.
One on Joey Meneses. Now 0-2.
That's the pitch right there. They can get the ground ball.
Drive to center. Varsho the catch. Abrams runs very well. He will come in to score, and the other two runners are going to advance. And it is 11-8.
Just a little too deep for Dalton Varsho's arm, and especially with Abrams running from third. Dalton opts to go to third base with his throw. Can't keep the Nats off the board here in the eighth.
So another run in, second and third, two down, and the batter is Keibert Ruiz, who is 0 for 4. Vargas is way down the line at third because Clement's playing way off the line. Bouncer to second, big hop, Kiner-Falefa, and the inning is over. But the Nationals add another run and now take an 11-8 lead to the top of the ninth. During 8 innings, he has allowed just one base runner, and that was a walk.
14 strikeouts in his 13 1/3 innings of work. Finnegan will be up around 97 with that four-seam fastball. A lot of power coming out of this Nats bullpen, and he's got the splitter also. Not dissimilar from what we saw from Hunter Harvey.
He was originally a 6th round pick of Oakland back in 2013. He is 32 years of age and never got to the majors with the A's, but a number of years in their system, was eventually granted free agency. Signed after the 2019 season by the Nationals. He's been with them ever since. And can the Blue Jays somehow muster a comeback after squandering an early 6-1 lead in this game? In danger of losing this series. Davis Schneider is going to lead it off. Schneider is 2 for 3 with a single, a double, and has also walked. Again, an off day for the Blue Jays tomorrow. They'll start a 2-game series with Philadelphia with the Phillies up in Philadelphia beginning Tuesday night. Wednesday is a day game. Jose Barrios and Christopher Sanchez Tuesday night. Chris Bassett and Aaron Nola Wednesday afternoon. Swung on and missed. 2-1. just high. 3-1. And ball 4. Got to start somewhere, and that's a leadoff walk.
Finnegan well rested, hasn't pitched since Wednesday, earning that save. Sometimes you get these closers, give them a few days off, could be a little bit erratic. Blue Jays will try to take advantage.
Dalton Varsho 1 for 4. There's a strike. The big inning for the Blue Jays was the second. They scored 5, 4 on the Guerrero grand slam. The big inning for the Nationals was the bottom of the 4th. They scored 5, 3 on the Jesse Winker home run. Popped up by Varsho. And a play for Lipscomb down the line. 1 out. Now Danny Jansen, who came on as a pinch runner in the 7th and then was out at home on that bunt attempt by Ernie Clement. So first at bat of the game for Jano. Slider down and away.
These are why those extra runs are tough to give up. Keep Washington off the board in the 8th, and Danny's the tying run here with his power.
A few spots away from Vladdy getting up again. They'll have to get something going to get him up here in the 9th. Well hit ball, but foul down the line. Boy, he is some kind of locked in at the plate right now.
Finnegan left that splitter up, and Danny was all over it. Now, you know when a pitcher leaves his splitter up, what do they generally like to do, Dan? Come
Throw
back,
it again and
come back with it and try to get it down. Catcher encouraging him.
Popped up back out of play. Went with a high fastball. There's the splitter, but he missed up and in. It is 2-2, and evidently Daniel Vogelback may get an opportunity here. I would imagine that would be if the tying run would come to the plate. Heiner Falefa is on deck. Clement behind him. Three and two. Which one would they hit for? Would they hit for IKF or would they hit for Clement?
With the day Heiner Falefa has had, hard to hit for him.
3-2 to Jansen. Chop foul. Yeah, he's had some good at bats. Chris Bassett will get the start in the day game Wednesday afternoon up in Philadelphia. Blue Jays trying to make a comeback here in the 9th inning of this one. Line to left center field, but running it down and making the play is Jacob Young for out number 2.
Good at bat by Jansen, and he gets on this pitch, really hits it hard into that left center gap. But Young closes the gap in a hurry. 96-mile-per-hour fastball. He knows he got away with it.
So the Blue Jays are down to their final out. It'll be Kiner Falefa, who was 2 for 3 with a sac fly. They're playing behind Schneider at first. So he's going to go to second on defensive indifference.
Isaiah just trying to keep that line moving here, knowing if he can get on base, it brings the tying run to the plate.
Slider for a strike, and it's 1-1. And a fastball drilled in there, 1-2. And now the Blue Jays down to their final strike here in Washington. And a ground ball to short. Abrams has it, and the Nationals win it. They come back from an early 5-run deficit and just kept swinging the bats all day long. And the Blue Jays lose 2 out of 3 here to the Nationals.
Tough return for Alek Manoah, starting things off for the Blue Jays, and the teams went back and forth all day, but the Blue Jays bullpen, just nobody could keep the Nats off the board, and the Blue Jays will have to take this series loss and do what they can to a pretty good Phillies team in Philadelphia.
A terrific Phillies team. Again, an off day tomorrow with 2-game series starting Tuesday night. We will have it for you, but right now it is time for Blue Jays Central as we send you to James.